There's also 2 flagrants in 9 playoff games, and he could have gotten a second technical by yelling at the officials here. He got lucky he was even allowed to stay in the game.
7 is the magic number.
7, he gets a suspension. Again, he is at 5 now. They would get him calmed down. Then another potentially terrible moment. I want you to watch Anthony Edwards. Watch closely as the ankle. This is a bad-looking moment right there. Wow. Alan, it looked like it was going to be a lot worse than it seems luckily to be.
When he stays down, you know it's serious, and he's limping off, but made it back for the second half.
He does. He comes out of the locker room, played in the second half, looked fine. Meanwhile, the Warriors looked terrible. There's a bad shot. Here's great transition defense. McDaniels throwing it down. This one was just sort of a non-game the entire second half. It's a 16-point lead. Randall throws it up. Edwards throws it down. Randall had 24 and 11. Edwards had 20 and 9. And most importantly, it looks like the ankle is fine. The series is even at 1 game apiece. But with Steph dressed that way, and I'll play you some sound from him in a moment. Michael, I hate to even ask this question, but if Steph Curry isn't able to make it back, is it just over for Golden State?
Yeah. It would be over for any team in today's NBA missing their best player, maybe any era of NBA. Particularly at this stage where you've got this few teams still remaining. What team could survive the loss of its best player? What teams could survive the loss of one of the, I'm going to say top 10, 15, 18 greatest players of all time in the playoffs? What team could survive that?
Probably none.
None. So the Warriors are no different in that regard.
And it's a horrible, and Alan, you and I talked about it yesterday. Like, this, I don't care who you're rooting for. Steph Curry is, as Michael just said, one of the greatest players ever, and certainly the most popular player of this generation. If this is his last best shot, to see him go out this way in street clothes, the basketball gods just cannot do that.
I don't think it's his last best shot. I think they've got a good chance to come back next year, but obviously they were in great position in this series, up 1-0, taking home court, and now he's out. And I don't want to say Steve Kerr was in search mode last night, but he played 14 players in the first half. We've never seen it in the history of the game. They also didn't defend. Now, you know you're going to have your offense go down without Steph Curry, and the numbers are scary. When Steph Curry plays in this postseason, they score 116 points per 100 possessions. Good. When he doesn't play, like last night, goes to 93. Devastating drop. When that happens, you've got to defend. And the Warriors have been really good defensively this year. But in this game, they allowed open three-pointer after open three-pointer after open three-pointer.
Let me play the Steph Curry sound, Alan. Which this is Steph, because you're talking about sort of his basketball mortality, and he's feeling it. This is what Steph said yesterday.
When you're 27, you feel like, you're obviously in your prime. Like, every opportunity I have now, you don't want it to be wasted on an injury. Like, I'm thankful it wasn't worse, and I'm very aware of and appreciative that I have even a chance to come back. Injuries are always hard emotionally, just because none of this is guaranteed to be back, in this environment or in the playoff experience, and have an opportunity like that.
Boy, did that sound as ominous in his tone as it did to me?
No, it didn't.
No? I'm great to even have a chance
he feels
to
bad
come
right
back.
now. He knows they can win a championship now.
Right.
And so every player you've ever talked to who has the awareness of Steph Curry and the common sense of Steph Curry knows you're losing one. You're seeing it slip away, and you can't grab it. And so he sounds like, I expect, one of the great athletes in the history of American sports to sound. It doesn't mean Wendy's right. I agree with you anyway. It doesn't mean anything for next year. Remember, Jimmy Butler's been there for a minute and a half. They're going to have Jimmy next year. They're going to have Draymond next. They're going to have the core of that team. They can do this. Does he have a 7-year window? No.
Michael, when you look at the West and you look at what's there,
it's going to be hard. But it's going to be hard now.
But right now was probably the best.
It might be
best case scenario for them when you consider what's left.
Yeah.
And if they could get past this series, the experience they have against a young Oklahoma City team, that's got to feel like this might be the biggest window he has.
Let me also clarify what I meant by ominous. I didn't mean for the future. I meant for his chances of coming back and playing in this series.
Yeah.
Because we talked at length about the extra time between games 5 and 6.
Yes.
So it's a week from Sunday is game 6. Can they win one game in the next 3?
Yes.
So that there would be automatically have to be a game 6, which is a week from Sunday. And if so, maybe, just maybe, Steph will be back and be able to play in that. That's, I think, if you're a Warriors fan, your best case scenario.
If you're looking for a reason to have some hope, Jonathan Kuminga played in this game because he played everybody. He made 8 straight shots at one point. Talked about after the game how his confidence is back. They need somebody to make shots from somewhere. They need some offense. So maybe this helps.
And the schedule also gives you a reason because of the extra days. The 3 days between games is important too, as you pointed out yesterday. And I think that's something that if Steph Curry is, you have to believe if they can get one and there is a game 6, he's going to do whatever it takes. Right? Like he'll do whatever it takes for his team to get on.
And there's something else we have to get into.
Yeah.
Minnesota just does stuff. They have lapses. We saw it last year when they got up 2 on Denver. They have lapses at home. They have lapses on the road. They are a maturing playoff team. They're not great. Okay? They're not without flaw.
They can be had.
They can be had, and they often are. So, let's get, as the great John Thompson used to say, just keep playing.
Yeah.
Let's see what happens. Just keep playing.
And by the way, if you've never had the opportunity to let Michael Wilbon tell you John Thompson stories, you haven't lived. Those are some great stories, most of them not to be shared on the air. But so just a quick, do the Warriors win one of the 2 games at home? Do they win one of the 2 at home?
If they do, it's got to be with their defense, and it's got to be a lot better. Their defense has been good, but it was terrible last night.
Do they win a home game?
Maybe because Ant has not been playing well, and now he might have a little bit of an ankle issue. He's not played well the last 3 or 4 games, but the Wolves overall looked much better as a team last night. I'm a little bit worried about that if I'm a Warriors fan.
Well coached.
Again, I don't care who you're rooting for. You don't want to see Steph go out, at least for this season, at this age, this way. Let's see if he makes it back. In the meantime, we showed you the Draymond Green incident. There is more to it. The incident on the floor with Naz Reid. Again, he got his 5th technical. 7 is an automatic suspension, adding to his night. While Green was on a stationary bike in the tunnel near the Warriors bench, he got into a back and forth with a fan. That fan was ejected for directing a racial slur at Draymond Green. Afterwards, Draymond gave a quick statement to reporters.
Look like the angry black man. I'm not an angry black man. I'm a very successful, educated black man with a great family. And I'm great at basketball. I'm great at what I do. The agenda to try to keep making me look like an angry black man is crazy. I'm sick of it. It's ridiculous.
So he's obviously very frustrated there. And Michael, you were mentioning we're not exactly sure what part of his night he's referring to.
Not at all. Not in any way, shape, or form. And those comments resonate more with some people than others. Resonates with me. Unlike Draymond, I usually wake up an angry black man, most days. Not all of them. And if I had been there last night, I might have been able to walk out of the tunnel and ask him. I've talked to Draymond a lot recently. And so that's to me, that's a trigger. Something and someone triggered him. I don't
Keep in mind that incident on the bike happened in the 4th quarter.
Right.
So it's
fresh.
The more recent thing that happened.
We have no idea what happened back there. We don't know.
So we're clear. What we mean by this is we don't know when he's making those comments, if he's talking about what happened on the floor, or more likely it sounds
what's happening in the
like what happened on the stationary bike, and whatever it is someone said to him, whatever it is that person said, it got that person ejected from the arena.
Yeah, I mean, this is life in America. Okay?
Yeah.
I mean, the great Arthur Ashe once said, being a black man in America is like having a second full-time job. And it is that. It's one of the most eloquent statements I've ever heard. And he said it maybe 30 years ago. Still applies. And again, kudos to Draymond for saying he's not. Draymond's, 30 years younger than me? Like I said, I could have had that rant, except I'd be saying, yeah, I am. And it's justified sometimes. And even if it's not justified, we don't know. We have no idea, none, less than 0, what triggered that. But it can trigger it for anybody, trust me.
So it seems more likely that he was referring to the incident in the tunnel again.
Than the technical foul or an officiating. He goes back and forth with officials all the time, literally all the time, more than anybody in the league. And we don't get to that, which says to me that something else happened back there. It may have been a series of things. We don't know how it was handled and how the fan was tossed. Will it all come out? Maybe. It often does, but no idea. You were telling us this morning about the configuration of the arena. Pardon me, you have worked games there. The bike that he's on.
It's in a tunnel. It's behind the backboard, and the crowd's right there. In a lot of the arenas, as we've all worked, we've seen it. They always put the stationary bike where players will stay warm, and it's always right next to one of the bleachers. Yeah. And so you can interact, and I've seen players interact. Sometimes it's fun, sometimes not so much. And so in that situation, and you know, the reporting was, and there was a Warriors security personnel. They always have security there with the player, by the way. Always one person's with them. And they did confirm that there was something, you know, racially motivated in the conversation that the fan was having, which is why it led to the immediately ejection.
Yeah. What we know for sure is the fan was ejected from the arena. We know that Draymond was frustrated afterwards. Perhaps that he'll clear that up at some point today, or whatever the case may be. He has his own podcast and all that, so perhaps he'll address it further. One way or another, we know that he get the 5th technical, which does put him 2 away from a suspension.
Can't afford to lose him.
As they continue to try and keep their season alive. All right, let me take a break on that thought. We'll continue. The Celtics and the Knicks have been the series so far. The Boston bummer. How much is Jason Tatum to blame for the Celtics' meltdown against the Knicks? Is Boston's arrogance going to cost them the series? And we know the Celtics need to win Game 3, but you're going to hear an NBA legend